So BTS with their new album B and title song Life Goes On is making history again after it tops the Billboard 200 and 100 charts, plus gets nominated by their Grammys. These are all unbelievable news, but as a fan, I've always wanted the other songs on the album to also get more spotlight, not only just from the fans, but from the general public as well. So today I'm going to introduce a song called Disease from their recent album B because I feel like this song is very meaningful, courageous, and deserves more recognition. The song Disease has a very special and deep message in it, so let's go and find out.
뭔가 놓친 듯해 커피 한 모금으로 불안함을 했어 안 흔들린 스트레스 내게 갑자기 다가온 불편한 행복 24 hours 시간 참 많아 하루 종일 잠자도 지금 no problem 몸 부서져라 뭘 해야 할 것 같은데 마냥 삼시세끼 다 먹는 나라 새끼.
The song starts with J-Hope depicting a casual day in the current situation stuck at home. He says it's an uncomfortable happiness because presumably their schedules are relatively less hectic than usual and they can finally get some rest at home. But at the same time, that's due to the pandemic situation. And in the midst of this uncomfortable spare time, he feels anxious because he's not working. Apparently, he has some kind of work addiction, just like a workaholic. Also, for the lyrics, you can notice some cute wordplay here using the expression 삼시세끼 and 세끼 that have the same sound. 삼시세끼 means 3 meals 3 times a day, meaning 3 regular meals. And 세끼 is a word on how you call someone younger than you in a playful manner, or someone you think is cute, stupid, or clumsy, or someone you're mad at. Anyways, it has diverse usages depending on the context, but in this case, it'll be something like brat or kid. So J-Hope saying something like, I should be working my ass off right now, but instead I'm just this little brat that's comfortably eating all 3 regular meals, and because of that, he feels anxious. Here, J-Hope says directly that he's not able to let himself rest. He becomes a dog that bites on himself whenever he's trying to rest. And he tries not to be like that, but he obsesses on these achievements every day. And he feels insecure that he might fail one day, and he admits that this mental state is somewhat like a disease or illness. In these lyrics, he brings in a Korean idiom, 썩은 동아줄. It literally translates into rotten rope, which is an analogy for a wrong decision. If you decide to climb up a rotten rope, it will break and you will fall down. So he might be anxious of making the wrong decision, making a mistake, and falling from his current status. Or he might be trying to say that this kind of behavior, like having a growling dog inside you that constantly makes you uncomfortable or anxious whenever you're trying to rest, is a kind of mental illness as well. Just like a rotten rope that's ready to snap anytime. And actually in Korean, we say the expression 정신을 놓다, which means let go of your mind, meaning going crazy. Sometimes we say this expression in a variation like 정신줄을 놓다, meaning letting go of your mental rope. I guess Koreans thought there was some kind of line or rope inside the human mind, and the moment that snaps, you lose your mind. Perhaps J-Hope used this same reference and decided to use the rotten rope idiom. So in short, he's trying to say he might go crazy.
Maybe I hate that 단순하지 못한 치기 어린 날 나도 참 어려 몸만 어려 절뚝거려 인생 걸어 one for the love two for the show just like I'm so fine.
In the pre-chorus, the BTS members admit that they might have an illness too. Too many thoughts, not being able to think in a simple manner. They think they're still mentally immature, and that causes bumps in their life time to time.
Every day 나를 위로해 똑같은 사람이야 ain't so special. Amen keep on to step 차분하게 모두 치료해 보자고 나의 병.
In the chorus, the members reassure themselves every day that they're ordinary people too, and also people all have some sort of mental illness of their own. What's amazing is that they publicly admit mental illnesses and even bring in talks regarding curing them as well. They admit and emphasize that fact several times by repeatedly singing 병, which means disease or illness, and also emphasizes that they need to discard their fears about it. In short, they're trying to say that there's nothing to be afraid of about having a mental illness. It's perfectly normal, and every person has some sort of mental illness as well.
마음에도 방학이 필요해. 아 그냥 일은 일로 해.
RM starts his verse directly stating the message that the mind or soul needs a vacation too. People have to take mental vacations, and he says that in his own case, he needs to learn how to treat work as just work.
I'm ill, 그래 내가 ill 그 자체 심리학 친구. Oh, I never liked him. 얼마를 벌어야 행복하겠니? 희유리 같은 병이 때리지니 뭐로.
So ill means sick in English, and ir means work in Korean. They sound the same, and RM is saying that work is his illness. Along with J-Hope, RM and the BTS members seem to have such pressure and obsession on their work. He continues in the lines explaining that he never liked a friend called rest. RM questions himself, how much money do you have to earn to make yourself happy or satisfied? And then he goes on using the double meaning of 병, and 병 can mean illness/disease, but also bottle in Korean. Thus, he says a mental illness can be just like a glass bottle hitting your head. In the meantime, RM himself did actually explain in an interview that the title dis-ease could mean disease as an illness, but also separated with a hyphen, it could mean unease as well. As we can see from the lyrics, the members are at unease whenever they're trying to rest. And for some of you that might be confused or questioning whether BTS was really talking about mental illnesses or not, wait for the last bit of this video because I included an actual interview from J-Hope on his take on this song. But at the same time, I do want to clarify that this explained video includes, of course, my personal take as well. RM continues to say that he's unsure if whether the world is the sick one or if he's the sick one. He only sees darkness even when he takes off his glasses. While the glasses could literally mean glasses, there's also a possibility that he's talking about prejudices and stereotypes. Because 색 안경, colored glasses, means stereotypes. Thus, he could be implying, even when I try to get rid of stereotypes, the world is still a pretty dark place. This could be seen as a critical take on society, saying that the world is sick, and that eventually affects individual minds to get sick as well. Now RM's talking about labels, and bottles have labels. So I think he's bringing back the bottle/illness wordplay again. And labels can also connect to prejudice and stereotypes as well, right? So what I get from this lyric is he's trying to say however the world might label you or put prejudices or stereotypes on you, just be yourself. And if I may take a personal bold take on this, perhaps in the context of mental illness, I think he's trying to say something like, even if people frown at you and label you for having a mental illness, it's fine. That fragility and imperfectness is also a part of you. Don't be embarrassed about it, just own it. Now, the narrative of disease or illness takes a slight shift from Suga's verse. He says that there are so many diseases and humans have innate evil inside them. There are also more than 400 types of mental and emotional illnesses, and almost everyone has at least one of them. While this continues with the message of what RM and J-Hope were trying to say, that everyone has some sort of illness inside them and it's okay, personally I think here we have a slightly darker take from Suga. That among those illnesses there can actually be actual sicknesses, as in a negative nuance, such as how we call evil people sick. 병든 세상인지 나인지 다 손이 바라보는 해석들의 차인지 그게 다인지 I don't know 누군가를 바꿔보는 것 그것보다 빠른 것은 내가 변화하는 것 And then Suga goes on reflecting whether if it's the world that's sick or if it's him, or if it's just how someone perceives what an illness is or not. He doesn't know the answer to that, but he knows one thing, that it's faster to change himself than trying to change others. So here I get this feeling that he might be referring to the haters in this line, saying that there are sick people out there with hatred in their hearts, and maybe it's society that made them like that. But either way, it's definitely easier to just change his own attitude, his own way of thinking, and curing himself, rather than trying to deal with all of those sick people out there. So basically, he could be saying something like, stay sick haters, I'm gonna go first, bye. I just left that part playing because it's pretty self-explanatory and worth listening to without stopping. And it's a direct message of hope and courage. Everyone who might be sick and tired of their life or is struggling with a mental illness shouldn't lose hope and believe in yourself. Try to wake up, stand up, and walk through the hardships. According to the lyrics, there's no such thing as a never-ending night, and eventually the sun will rise and it'll soon become morning. And once it becomes morning, by then you'll notice that you've grown up and become stronger than ever. So J-Hope stated in an interview, "I think everyone has their own chronic psychological illness. That was the starting point of this song, and in my case, when I was granted rest during the pandemic situation, I felt very anxious not being able to fully rest. It was very uncomfortable, and I tried to make an analogy of that feeling into the form of a work disease. Everyone knows BTS is good at winning and overcoming stuff, right? And I wanted to put that kind of positive and hopeful message in this song." J-Hope also stated in a magazine interview, "Diseases or illnesses aren't a light theme for sure, but I try to make the song not depressing and give it an overcoming feel. The beauty of music is that you can express sorrow and sad feelings in a beautiful way as well. I've never tried expressing it like that before, but this time I wanted to try it with this song." As you can see from the interview, this song has such a meaningful purpose and was intentionally planned to give hope and courage to people. I personally think this song has even more meaning because the Korean society has never really been accepting or open towards mental illnesses. There was always this sort of negative stigma attached to the field, and if a Korean were to go get consultation or mental therapy, they would be seen as weird, problematic, sensitive, fragile, or even weak. However, BTS preaches in this song that it is perfectly normal to have a disease or mental illness. Everyone has it and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. And that people should rather focus or talk about mental health, care, and curing. I just like to say that this is exactly what I'd expect from none other than BTS. They've always been vocal about social issues and spreading positive messages of self-love. I just think it's amazing that now they're opening the conversations for mental health in Korea, globally, when nobody was able to or willing to in the past decades. And that's what makes this song amazing. And last but not least, considering the current context amidst of the pandemic, everyone who is experiencing a hard time mentally, physically, financially, Disease is the kind of song that might help reduce anxiety and bring back courage and hope in our society.
want to stay. 자꾸 나게 못 치료해 법 자꾸 나를